What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick, sleep deprived Cacus, and today we have the Vow of the Disciple raid guide for dummies, showcasing every single mechanic of every single encounter explained methodically and easily so every single person can understand how to overcome this brand new Witch Queen raid. And this raid is no joke. In my opinion, it's probably the second hardest contest mode raid since Last Wish. But of course, guys, overcoming this challenge and then putting together an entire raid guide, everything in one video, and keep in mind, each encounter is timestamped below for your convenience. It was a lot of work. So guys, please, if you enjoy this video, help support it by liking and especially sharing, even if it's just telling a friend about it. Alright, now let's get started with the first encounter. So upon loading in, you're actually going to see a gate once you kill the Savathun's projection and a few more ads, then this gate is going to open up. Once you go inside, you can actually utilize your sparrows to get through here, but eventually you will come to kind of this vehicle. Basically, there's no other way to describe it. And this is very similar to the brand new public event that's located on the Throne World location. You're gonna have to stay somewhat near this vehicle in order to actually move it along. However, there are going to be the big Scorn knowledge bearer enemies that spawn as you are making progress with this vehicle, and you definitely want to kill those guys. And you're also going to notice that if you move away from the vehicle, you're going to get stacks of pervasive darkness ×1, ×2, and it's going to keep building. If this gets to ×10, you will die. And you can lower these stacks by moving back to that vehicle. So this encounter is going to unfold as such. You're going to move the vehicle to a certain area, it's going to stop. Knowledge bearers are going to spawn, you're going to want to kill them first. Now, as they're still alive and or right after you kill them, there's going to be a bunch of objects that spawn around the map. As you can see, they have like an orange glow emulating out on top of them. Now, collecting these objects gives you the buff Heightened Knowledge. Now, you can collect up to 3 and that buff will change to Overflowing Knowledge. Once you've collected all of these different knowledge objects around the immediate area, you simply head back to the vehicle, and then it will start moving again. Now remember what I said, you can only collect 3 at a time. If you go over a 4th one, at least in my experience, it didn't pick up, so multiple teammates will have to go search the immediate area, collect all of those knowledge spikes, and get back to the vehicle to get it to move again. Then same thing's going to happen. You're going to get to a new area, the vehicle is going to stop, you kill the knowledge bearers, search for the different knowledge spikes on the ground, bring them back to the vehicle, keep moving. However, during this process, there actually is going to be a secret chest that spawns. So, along the route, there's going to be these objects here that you can actually shoot. If you shoot this one that's just kind of off to the immediate left in the first kind of big encounter you get into, and then shoot the second one after traveling down this long, almost like hallway of pillars that's located right here, and then the third one that is located underneath this bridge right here. Eventually, as you continue forward with your vehicle, as you can see, there's actually a chest located in this kind of building right here. Now, we didn't get anything from it because it was the first encounter and we didn't have any raid loot, but this should be similar to the very first Vault of Glass chest. Once you get a piece of raid loot, you can get that raid loot out of this chest. Alright, but moving on from there, we have the first main encounter with acquisition. So, for this encounter, the first thing you're going to want to do is familiarize yourselves with these different symbols. This is made by a fantastic Reddit user, and he put his names on here, but frankly, you don't have to use these exact names. For example, the stop, we just called it red square. You know, for hive, we called it eyes. It doesn't matter. As long as you and your group agree on the names of all these different symbols, that is what's important, because you're going to have to call out these symbols when you see them, and everyone is going to have to understand. If I say, ascendant plane, or again how my group called it, vex head, because it kind of looks like a vex head, everyone in the group needs to know exactly what symbol we're talking about. Because first off, you're going to notice a bunch of these different symbols just all around the arena. For example, the Traveler and the Pyramid symbols are smack dab in the very center, and one is more to the right, one is more to the left. Then you're going to see a bunch more of these symbols on the outskirts of this arena. Each one is kind of above a doorway. So, additionally, you're going to see 3 different obelisks. One is kind of in the very center, up front in the arena, and then one's in the back to the left, one's in the back to the right. And then, very importantly, there is a darkness object kind of floating right in the center of this arena, and then you can shoot it and it kind of opens up, and this really starts the encounter. Now, you're going to notice that later on in the encounter, or basically whenever you want, when you shoot this darkness object, what started the encounter, doorways are going to open. And this is going to let you get into these different rooms on the outskirts. So if I need to get into the brain knowledge symbol room, I need myself or someone else to shoot that darkness object. That opens the door and I can go into this room. Now, why would I need to go into there? Well, you need to basically complete each one of these 3 obelisks, and here's how you do it. So, one of the 3 obelisks, seemingly at random, is going to pop up a symbol on the tower that's near it. So the obelisk is like a 3-sided thing, and there's going to be 3 sets of symbols on each side. So 9 symbols totally on the obelisk, but right next to the obelisk, there is a tower with 3 kind of big symbols on there. And again, one of these towers will just light up with one of 2 symbols. You're either going to see a traveler symbol or a pyramid symbol. So remember I said those are both located in the center of the room. Basically what this means is, hey, you need to find and locate a knight, a taken knight that's referred to as a compass, and kill that guy. And if it's a pyramid symbol, that means it's on the pyramid side of the map, right? So the left side of the map if you're looking from when you first entered into this arena. So while everyone else is defending their obelisks, because that will be a huge part of this encounter, there's going to be certain yellow bar scorn enemies, and if they come up to the obelisk and damage it too much, your team can wipe. So there are going to need to be people with unstoppable champion mods, by the way, because unstoppable champions are going to spawn and come after these obelisks, and their entire job is just defending these obelisks and also reading off symbols to help the other people who are trying to find these knights and do other stuff. So again, you see that one symbol on that one obelisk, it's telling you which side of this arena the compass knight is. You go and find that compass knight, you kill that compass knight, and then what's going to happen is, as you can see, that tower is going to update with a new symbol. And this new symbol is going to denote one of the outskirts rooms you can head in. So whatever symbol appears, the gift symbol, the brain symbol, whatever, then you're going to need to send someone to that room. Someone is going to need to shoot that darkness object in the center of the map I was talking about earlier to open up the door and let you inside that room. Now, what happens when you go inside? Well, after a little bit, enemies are going to spawn, including 2 yellow bar scorn called Glyph Keepers. You want to kill these guys quickly, so something like the Parasite that can one-shot them potentially is very good, and then they're going to spawn 2 more symbols. However, one of these symbols is right next to kind of a white prismy type symbol, and the other is next to a darker spiraling symbol. So one is the symbol of the light, one is the symbol of the dark. And you need to know one of these symbols. And of course, you know this from what your tower next to the obelisk is now displaying. So that tower next to the obelisk is really like instructions of what to do. It's going to show either the pyramid side or the traveler side of the map where the compass knight is to kill. Then it's going to display the room you need to go to. Then it's going to display that white prism symbol or the darkness symbol, which of these 2 different symbols you need to know. And so finally now, I have the specific one symbol I'm looking for. you want to write this symbol down somewhere in chat because you're gonna have to do this 2 more times. Like I said, only one obelisk tower is going to light up first and display those instructions. Once you go and kill those glyph keepers and acquire that symbol, another obelisk is gonna light up in the same way. You know, the side of the room the knight is, the room specifically to go to, the light or dark symbol you need, and then finally the third obelisk is going to display those symbols in those orders. So once you have your 3 different specific symbols that you were basically instructed to find, then what's going to happen is you're going to see symbols appear all up and down the obelisk. Like I said, 9 in total. So what you need to do is look for the specific obelisk that has all 3 of the symbols you just found. So if you found, you know, Vex head, brain, and red square, you need to find the obelisk that has all 3 of those symbols. So maybe it's, you know, the one top left. Okay, this has all 3. Then you need to shoot all 3 of those specific symbols in quick succession. So one person can do it pretty quickly if you go shoot, turn, shoot, turn, shoot. You may need multiple people to shoot it quite quickly because these obelisks can frankly be quite finicky. But if you do this correctly, you're going to notice the obelisk is glowing when you're shooting the correct symbols, and then the text will appear in the corner of your screen that the obelisk accepts your offering. Now, if something goes wrong, if you shoot the wrong ones, if you shoot them too slowly, sometimes it just glitches up, frankly, then it's going to reject, and all of the obelisks are going to spin around and kind of reset the position of these symbols. So you might need to go to a different obelisk, or sometimes you just stay at the same one. You have to shoot them again. Sometimes you can get it on the 2nd or 3rd try. If you fail too many times, you'll just wipe. And so guys, that's really all there is to it, because once you get one obelisk to accept your offering by shooting the 3 correct symbols, then that obelisk is good. Actually, that's important to know. You're never going to go back to that same obelisk. So if you get that top left, you know the next one you're going to have to shoot the symbols on is only going to be the top right or the back middle one. Once you get the top right one, then the back middle one is the only possible option left. So make sure every teammate is there ready to shoot at the same time, quickly, all of that stuff. So you simply have to do the same thing, finding the correct symbols 3 different times for the 3 different obelisks. Okay, that's this encounter. Let's move on to the next encounter. And this one, the Caretaker encounter, is a doozy. This is going to be the new Atrax for a lot of people. So what do you do? Well, first and foremost, there's going to be a boss that kind of spawns in the center of this arena and slowly makes his way towards the first obelisk. Now, there is actually going to be multiple levels. So after you complete one obelisk, you're going to go up, complete another obelisk, you're going to go up, complete that obelisk, and then there's a final stand mechanic, but we'll get to that later. So the first thing you're going to need to do is, unless you're extremely fast in completing this obelisk, you're going to need to dedicate a certain portion of your team to stunning the Caretaker. Now, how do you do that? Well, as you can see, as he is moving around, eventually he's going to light up his face. Someone is going to need to basically pull aggro and be in front of him to be able to shoot his face. Now, you can just use a primary weapon, but of course the more damage you do, the faster it's going to activate. Once you shoot his face and do enough damage, then the kind of item on his back will open up, and someone else behind him needs to shoot his back, and that will stun the Caretaker and just keep him immobile for a certain period of time, and then he's going to start moving again. Eventually his face is going to light up and you can do the same thing. So there is going to need to be a couple of people on top of keeping up with ads. They're located around the map strategically so that they're kind of on the opposite ends of one another. Someone can always kind of be in front of the Caretaker, hitting his face when it's available, and then someone else can put some shots into his back to stun him and again delay the process of the Caretaker getting to the obelisk. So as that's going on, another group of your team, so 2 to 3 people, are going to have to complete the obelisk. How do they do that? Well, right near the obelisk, as you can see, those different darkness objects that you used, there was only one in the last room, to open and close the doors. Same thing is happening here. You shoot these and the door opens. When you go into this new room, you're going to see there's some taken wizards here. Just watch out for those guys. You don't have to kill them whatsoever, but you do have to avoid them. And then there's a bunch of different symbols that you can pick up here. So there's really two ways you can go about this. Firstly, you can look at the obelisk first, as you can see me doing. I can look at all three of the different symbols in a row, then I can go in, especially this is easy on this first room, and specifically collect those three objects, aka those three symbols. Each one I get an increasing amount of knowledge, like my knowledge bonus will increase. You can't collect more than 3, and then I can come out, and as you can see, I can just spray up the wall and hit all 3 of these symbols on that side of the obelisk, and the obelisk will accept my offer. However, the other way to do this is to just go in and grab the first 3 symbols you see, and this is going to be significantly easier on the upper 2 levels when these rooms become more expansive and the wizards inside become more numerous, and it's a little bit harder to go in and find 3 specific symbols, especially because as you're inside, you're going to gain increasing stacks of pervasive darkness. Once you get to times 10, if no one shoots the objects to open the doors and lets you out, you're going to die. So if you just go in and pick up the first 3 you see, and then I can come out and I simply need to remember which symbols I grabbed and shoot those 3 symbols on the obelisk. So again, that is how you complete the obelisk. You go inside and collect the symbols of this room. Someone is going to have to let you out by shooting that darkness object, and then you shoot the correct 3 symbols that you've collected on the obelisk. Now, this probably won't come up, but it's important to know you can actually collect less than 3 symbols. You can collect 2 symbols, 1 symbol, shoot that 1 symbol, and the obelisk will accept your offer. So if you're in a pinch, you can only find 2. You get outside to safety, you shoot those 2, the obelisk accepts your offer, and then someone else is just gonna have to go in and get the 1 you missed eventually. However, what is much easier and what I would recommend is just have 2 people be dedicated symbol shooters. One guy goes in, collects the first 3 they see. Obviously, they need to pay attention to what they're collecting. They get let out by the other guy. The other guy goes in and does the same. They shoot their 3 symbols. The obelisk accepts their offering. Then they let the other guy out and they go back in and collect the last 3 symbols. They may need to wait a couple of seconds for the darkness to go down, but there you should have it in just a pretty simple rotation, all 9 symbols. Importantly, if you shoot the wrong symbols and the obelisk rejects your offer, you're going to notice that you lose your knowledge buff, which means you can't just keep shooting those symbols. So you'll actually have to go back into that room and collect those symbols again. They will respawn. So as long as the boss stunning team is on it, you can potentially have a few rejections in there, a few mistakes, and still get that obelisk complete before the boss gets to it and wipes your team. Now, once the obelisk is complete, you've shot all 9 symbols, it's accepted your offering 3 or more times, then you go to the damage phase. Now, when you do this, if the team that's been stunning the Caretaker is on it, the Caretaker is often going to be actually pretty far away from the obelisk, so you may have to kind of wait for the Caretaker to make his way up to the obelisk, and then you're going to see one of 3 different platforms start glowing. Importantly, the first platform that starts glowing is going to be the one on the side of which the Caretaker came from. So if he came from that left side, the first plate that starts to glow is going to be that left side one. So once it starts to glow, as you can see, your team can hop in and do damage to the boss. You're only going to have a limited amount of time. Eventually you're going to start hitting immunes. Then you have to hop to the middle plate. As you can see, do more damage. Eventually that's going to run out. Then you hop to the right side plate in this example and do damage from there. So that is the damage phase mechanic. Keep in mind, the damage phase kind of starts when the first person hops on. So if the first person hops on, the timer starts going down. You do have a couple of seconds to collect your team. Go, everyone ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, hop in. Then you hop in, apply, your buffs, your debuffs, etc. Unfortunately, Divinity was kind of clipping in the middle of this guy. We were still using it because it was still good, but that could be hard to hit, and even harder to hit his head sometimes because he's wailing it around when he's getting shot at. But you're just gonna have to do enough damage. Again, a Divinity and high damage precision weapons, stuff like the Sleeper Simulant, were very darn good for this. Now, as you're damaging him, and actually all throughout the encounter, he's going to be shooting out these like objects that float around in the sky and eventually do attack you. They're really easy to kill, however, so someone with an auto rifle and SMG can spray down a ton of them. In the damage phase, you're definitely going to want something like a healing, a rift, or a well just to stay alive, because they will be kind of constantly hitting you as you're doing the damage phase. Then when this damage phase is done, stairs are going to lower down, as you can see, and then you can make your way up to the second level, and it's really the same thing. There's a new obelisk, so the symbol team is going to have to go into this new room, and the room is simply going to be bigger, more expansive, and now you can fall to your death in it, so just keep that in mind. But again, they just have to collect and shoot the correct symbols on the obelisk. When all 9 are done, you go to another damage phase in this new area, and the plates are a little bit further apart. Then, once you complete that damage phase, you go up to a third area, and in this third area, same thing, the people in charge of the symbols go in. Now there's more doors to open up, by the way. Like, there's one door you can open up, then there's 2, then there's 3 different doors on the final level. So, you are going to have to communicate with your team and say, hey, let me out of this right-hand door really quickly, because that encroaching darkness is definitely going to be a factor here. But once they shoot all of the 9 symbols on the final obelisk, you do another damage phase, same thing, except the plates are even further apart, and then you have the final stand mechanic. So after this third room, no matter what, you are going to go up one set of big stairs, and then there's going to be several different plates, but they're just located one in front of the other, and as you can see, you're gonna have to travel from one plate to the next as a team and just do as much damage as you can and finish him off this last chunk of health before the plate ends and your team wipes. So really the challenge to this encounter is that DPS check. You have to do a lot of damage, and so again, stuff like the Sleeper Simulant combined with Divinity, great sniper rifles, all of that stuff was fantastic, but I would highly recommend, guys, you do have special finishers and the like. If a couple people are doing special finishers on those spawning ads, that can be a great source of ammo, because you're going to deplete it pretty much every damage phase, and so getting to the next room and having like full special is very, very good. And also, hot swapping to the Outbreak Perfected last minute if you have no ammo is a very good idea as well. That's going to be a very high DPS primary weapon that's not going to run out of ammo, so another tip there. But guys, it's time to move on from there. Once you do take down this boss, you actually have a pretty substantial jumping puzzle and another secret raid chest. So, as you can see, you're gonna have to jump basically to the ledges of this pyramid ship, and sometimes those ledges are a little bit hard to see, but eventually you're going to make your way along these ledges, and eventually you're gonna get to this room here that has a bunch of ads. So, in this room, there's another one of those darkness objects that shooting it, opens and closes certain things. Well, in this case, shooting it is going to make, as you can see, certain ledges come out from the walls. So essentially, some of your team has to remain here and shoot this object to make these ledges come out, while the rest of your team goes and scales these ledges and slowly makes their way across this pyramid ship. And they're gonna have to say, okay, shoot it, ledges come out, jump a few, and then shoot it again. Okay, the one I'm on is going away, I have to jump to another one. And again, they just slowly make their way forward. Eventually, when they do, and again, continue their way forward, they're going to make it to another room with ads, and the same thing is going to be present. So there's going to be another object that they can shoot, and now the other people behind catch up to them. And again, some people are going to have to remain in this new room shooting this object to extend the different platforms and you keep making your way forward. Eventually, this is the way you're kind of supposed to go. You get to this ledge here, and then there's kind of an open window. Every other window is kind of closed, and you hop in here and there's more ads. However, as you can see, I got my chest finder on. There's a secret chest above me. So instead of coming out of this main area and going left where you're properly supposed to go, you're instead going to go right, scale along this wall, kind of around the corner. As you can see, you're going to make your way up to this portion here, and then you look above you, and in the ceiling there is a little place you can jump. So you jump up here and then jump along these different horizontal pillars, and then eventually you will find this chest right here, secret raid chest, and then there's a little area you can just drop down right behind the chest to get to that room you were supposed to go. Alright, but it's time to move on from there to the next encounter in the exhibition area. So for this, you're going to see a resonant shard in the very center of this little room. Once you pick it up, every single person is going to get Termina Resonance and about a minute on the clock. When this timer runs out, everyone will die. So how do you prevent that? Well, another thing you're going to notice when you pick up this relic is that 3 different enemies are going to spawn. To the left, there's going to be a normal Scorn Glyph Keeper. To the right, a Taken Resonant Glyph Keeper. And then in the middle, you're going to have a Taken Knight. Now this Taken Knight is going to have an immune shield. It is not able to be damaged by anyone except for you with the Resonant Shard. You can kill this guy. Once you do kill this guy, the Termina Resonance timer is going to go up by about 40-45 seconds. So killing these Taken Knights with the shield by the guy with this particular relic is how you extend the timer. Now as for the Glyph Keepers, here's what's really important. So when you kill one of them, 3 symbols are going to pop up as you can see. But if you kill the other one, you're not going to be able to see those 3 symbols. So it turns out the guy holding the relic can see one set of symbols, everyone else can see another set of symbols. So what you need to do is communicate with your team and find out which is the symbol that is matching between these 3 sets of symbols. So if both sets have the red square, then you just shout out, oh, red square, that's the one that's matching. You guys see these 3, it has red square. I see these 3, it also has a red square. Then you shoot the red square or whatever the correct symbol is right in the center, and then this door opens up. Then you go into this room. When you deposit your relic, then the time is actually going to reset. You're going to get more time on your Termina Resonance, but also you can't pick up the same relic. So if I was the guy who picked up that first relic in that first room to kill that first knight, I can't then pick it up again in this second room. I have to transfer it to someone else because I'm going to have the curbed resonance debuff. I can't pick up another relic for 30 seconds. And there's also going to be another relic. It's the same relic from the Vault of Glass. So you picked it up, it's the shield relic. If you hold block, you make a dome around you and you cleanse your team of darkness. And this is very important because when you do switch these 2 relics, 2 teammates have these relics and you go into the next room, you will, as you can see, start to constantly get pervasive darkness. And once it gets times 10, again, you will wipe. So you have to either stick with the guy who has that relic shield, or the relic shield guy needs to be going and seeking the team out and constantly using that block and cleansing the team so they don't die of the darkness stacks. So in this room, you're going to have a bunch of enemies. You want to go out and kill all of the different Taken hobgoblins, especially. These are going to spawn the Glyph Keepers. Like when you go into this room, the Glyph Keepers are not going to be there initially. You have to kill a bunch of ads, and then that's going to spawn the Glyph Keepers. Of course, you need to kill these Glyph Keepers, right? Because I think the Taken ones are going to be spawning the symbols that are only seen by the guys holding the relics, and they need to shout out those symbols. And then the other Glyph Keepers are going to be spawning these symbols that can be seen by everyone else. So there's 4 Glyph Keepers in total, 2 Taken ones, 2 Scorn ones. You have to kill all 4, and that means there's going to be 2 different matching symbols, right? So we killed this one, we killed that one. Okay, Vex Head is matching. So one of the correct symbols is Vex Head. We kill the next 2 Glyph Keepers, and of those 3, the next one that's matching is, the darkness ships, right? Bunch of pyramid ships, that's matching. Then at the end area, as you can see, you shoot the 2 correct symbols, like the 2 symbols that match the 2 sets of 3, and you can be let into the next room. So you can split your team up, 3 on one side of the room, 3 on the other, slay out on ads, get those glyph keepers to spawn, and then just communicate amongst each other what symbols you actually see, and then just write down or call out the matching ones. Of course, if you do split your team up, the guy with the cleansing relic is going to have to move between the 2 different teams in order to make sure they don't die of those darkness stacks. You can also just kind of go around as a big group of 6, slay out on enemies, and all of that stuff. There's a ton of enemies that spawn here, and they seem to consistently spawn, so something like even a sword honestly is not bad here. A wither horde that's going to apply that constant damage. Heck, any of the void 3.0 grenades, especially the vortex grenade, can just decimate enemies coming out of these spawns. Those are all very, very good. But once you have picked those 2 different correct relics, opened that next room, firstly there's going to be some scorn that spawned in this room, so just keep that in mind. And then here, you're going to have to do another swap. So the people that were holding the relics, they're going to be locked out. They have to deposit their relics to continue, and they can't pick up more relics. So again, different teammates are going to have to pick up different relics, and yet again, we have a new relic. So we have the Taken relic that is present in the Last Wish raid, as you can see, and the exact same mechanics are present here as well, in the sense of you can shoot it and it does a decent amount of damage honestly, but you can also press your grenade button, which is going to cleanse. So as you can see, when you come into this next new room, there's going to be Taken blights, and these Taken blights are similar to the meatball blights in Gambit, if you guys can remember that, which are going to make enemies immune. So the guy with the Taken relic has to go down next to these Taken blights and cleanse it, activate that grenade button. That is going to destroy that blight and let you actually damage these enemies. So a very important job. Now in this new room, you simply need to go fast. I would recommend sticking together as a team of 6. However, you can split up, and this is going to be more viable when contest mode ends, but you go to either the left or right side, you kill all of the enemies, which is going to spawn the glyph keeper. You kill the glyph keeper, you can jump across these little platforms to, for example, the right side, kill the enemies around there, spawn the glyph keeper, kill that glyph keeper. Every 2 glyph keepers that dies, guys, that is going to spawn a Taken Knight. In the previous room, the Taken Knight spawned at the very end, like right at the exit where you enter the correct symbols. In this room, the Taken Knight is going to spawn on those pillars in the very center of the map, as you can see. So the guy with the darkness relic, the shard, has to wait for those guys and kill them as soon as they spawn to extend your timer. If you don't extend your timer, you're gonna die. Especially the first one, you absolutely have to kill. So then you go to the left, kill everyone, kill the glyph keeper, hop across, kill everyone, kill the glyph keeper, extend the time, keep going on the right, kill everyone, kill the glyph keeper, keep moving to the left, kill everyone, kill the glyph keeper, and finally you're going to kill all 4 of those different glyph keepers. And again, the first 2, there's going to be a matching symbol between them. The next 2, there's going to be another matching symbol between them. You enter the correct 2 at the end door, and you're let through. And then guys, in this final room, again, more score and watch out, but you're going to have to do the same thing. Everyone with the relic has to deposit it, which means that the people who didn't have relics are going to have to pick them up, because there's 3 relics, half your team has relics, and the other half, they're going to have to pick them up. So there's no one that can just sit on the sidelines and not utilize a relic in this encounter. So once the new 3 people have access to those 3 important relics, you're in a new room, but you're doing the same thing as the previous room. You're going to either the right or left side, killing every ad you see to spawn the glyph keeper, killing that glyph keeper, hopping across to the other side to kill another glyph keeper as quickly as possible. Then a Taken Knight is going to spawn somewhat in the center again, as you can see. The guy with the darkness relic takes that out. The guy with the VOW relic is cleansing everyone. The guy with the Last Wish relic is destroying the different blights, making enemies immune, and you just go from place to place, killing all the ads, getting the glyph keepers to spawn, killing them, and then again communicating the symbols you're seeing and finding the two matching symbols, the two sets of matching symbols to again shoot the doors at the end and open them up. Now, I almost made a huge blunder, but this is a great learning opportunity for everyone else. So I was done with my relic. I had nothing else to do with this relic, so I actually dropped it just to help kill ads, and then we got to the end, but we realized, oh my goodness, you have to still deposit that relic. Even though you get to this final room, someone had to go back without the lockout, because I couldn't pick it back up again, and quickly grab this relic and bring it in and deposit it. So make sure you don't do what I do. Don't drop the relic. You have to make it all the way to the end room and deposit it, because you aren't necessarily able to pick it back up if you do drop it. And so guys, there you have it. Now moving on from there, after a slight jumping puzzle, you will eventually encounter the final boss fight, and holy crap, this one is a doozy. So the first thing you're going to notice is that in this arena, if you try to move forward, there's actually going to be a barrier that will physically push you back. Be careful with this, because if you like dodge into it, sometimes it can fling you back and even off the map. However, immediately after starting the encounter, a shard is going to appear above the head of the big bad boss, and you're going to start to gain stacks of darkness. If you do nothing, again, the stacks will get to times 10 and the team will wipe. So what you need to do is shoot and destroy this big shard. The last person to kill it, so the person that actually deals like the final bit of damage to kill this shard, they are going to get a leeching debuff, as you can see. Now, if you have leeching, what you can do is transfer it to other teammates. And how you do that is you go to that kind of black square that you saw when you first spawned in. If you have leeching and you stand on it, then you're actually going to see that symbol light up and it's going to turn into the gift symbol. But then two more of those shards are going to appear in the background, as you can see, one to the left and one to the right of this kind of back structure. Now, you standing on that particular spot with leeching, again, causes this to happen, and then any two teammates can shoot those different shards, and again, if they deal the final blow, the final bit of damage, they gain leeching. So that is how you transfer this buff to your other teammates. Those teammates can turn that leeching buff into an emanating buff, and how they do that is they actually jump into the laser attack that the boss shoots. So the boss is going to kind of move around and pick either the left or right side or right down the middle and shoot this big attack. Everyone else should probably avoid this, but if you have leeching specifically, if you jump in here, you will take no damage and your buff will change to that emanating force buff. Now, the entire time, both when you have leeching and emanating, you do have a time limit, so you are going to have to do this stuff within an appropriate time before it runs out, or you will die. So, once you get the emanating buff, what do? Well, first off, you're going to notice you can actually go through this barrier that was previously pushing you back, so you can enter into new parts of this arena to help you kill ads and do objectives. But one of the things you're going to find in terms of ads is that a glyph keeper will spawn, one taken, one scorn, on the left and right sides. Once you kill these glyph keepers, then symbols are going to spawn, and they're simply going to be floating kind of in the air above these objects, as you can see. So here's the thing. If you have the leeching or emanating buff, you can see one set of these symbols. I think, again, it's the symbols from the taken glyph keeper. So you can see the ones on the left, for example, and then the rest of the team can see the three that spawned from killing the right side scorn glyph keeper. So then it's a matter of communicating amongst your teammates and finding the matching symbol. So again, if, hey, you have a red square, we have a red square, so red square is the one that we're going after. Then there's going to be 6 different, almost like totems, towers. Each one has 3 different symbols on it located around this arena. You're going to need to find the 2, and it's always 2 that have the matching symbol. So the rest of the symbols don't matter. There's going to be 2 with a red square. So you're going to communicate this, say, okay, it's L1, R2 are the places you need to go with the red squares. You, as someone with an emanating buff, goes to the correct totem as called out by your teammates. In this case, it's R3, and you can deposit on this totem. And that completes this part of the objective. So what you need to do is just that same thing. You need to deposit on these correct totems multiple times. However, there is something very important you need to know when it comes to the leeching and empowering buffs, and that is you will need to save and transfer it. And here's what I mean. When the original teammate who gets leeching spreads it to his two teammates, he's going to lose leeching. So those two new players can go and get the emanating buff and go and dunk at the platforms, but then no one is going to have leeching anymore. The buffs will be gone. At this point, a second shard is actually going to spawn above the boss's head, allowing you to regain leeching for one person, and then that person can spread it again. But if you lose it at that point, it's gone. It's actually a wipe mechanic. So what you're actually going to need to do is that original person who gets leeching, when he spreads it to two teammates, one of those teammates hops right back on the plate that lets you spread leeching and then give it to that first guy back. And you can keep doing this, go on the symbol, spread it to two people. One of those two people goes back and spreads it to two more people. One of those people goes back and spreads it to two more people. You can spread this buff widely amongst your team, which you will need to do to some degree in order to slam enough of the different totems. You have to slam 2, and then it moves forward a bit, and then you have to slam 4. In fact, if you're spreading leeching around fast enough, that second shard above the boss's head I mentioned earlier won't even spawn. Again, it only spawns that first time if everyone loses the leeching buff. So if you're going fast, definitely spreading that leeching buff and having people go back to the symbol and, keep giving the original spreader back his leeching so he can keep spreading it and so on. That's a great way to beat this encounter and get the dunks fast. Oh, and by the way, this means your main leeching spreader guy is gonna really want to avoid those boss laser beams, because if you accidentally get hit by that and get the emanating buff when you don't want to and no one has leeching, that could cause a wipe. So eventually, after spreading leeching and turning leeching into emanating and planting on the right totems, you're going to move your way further and further up this encounter. Like the wave pushing you back is going to slowly move up so you can advance through this arena. You're killing glyph keepers, you're getting on top of ads, all of that stuff. Eventually, after you have dunked in enough of the different totems, then you're going to actually move to boss DPS. And this is also quite the doozy. So when it comes to boss DPS, you're going to go up these stairs and then the boss is going to be there, but this boss is going to charge you like crazy. Like this is right out of like an anime or something like that. So you are going to see kind of a gold wave appearing in the direction of where the boss is charging. So you just want to jump to the side, jump out of the way. Don't jump above. There is a pretty big radius for this attack. Now, another attack the boss can do is this AoE attack, where it shoots out a different beam from a bunch of different locations. So you kind of just need to look at where those beams are going and put yourself in between them so you don't get hit. However, what do you actually do with this boss? Well, after a charge attack, you're going to notice that it kind of leaves behind its weapon, its relic, and this is actually able to be damaged. So once you do inflict enough damage on this kind of glowing relic, on his kind of staff, you are actually going to get leeching. Now, as soon as you do, as soon as someone gets leeching, as you can see right here, guys, you're going to have a symbol appear right near the boss. So in this case, it's like the traveler symbol. So then what we do is we look around the arena. Everyone can see this symbol except for the guy with leeching. They can't see any of these symbols. So we look around the arena and look for the totem. There's 4 different totems on the 4 corners of this map. We look for the one with the traveler symbol. So when someone sees it, they say, oh, L1 or R2 or whatever your callouts are. Then the person with leeching during this time is going to have to jump in front of a beam. So just like they got emanating from jumping in front of the boss attack beams before, same thing. It's a different style of attack, but if they hop in front of this beam, then they're gonna get emanating, and then they go to the correct totem the rest of the team has called out. Once they plant their emanating buff on this correct totem, then a boss weak spot is going to appear. So he's going to have like a glowing bulge on his shoulder. You want to shoot that, and once you do enough damage, it's going to kind of shatter, and a bunch of wires are going to start coming out of it, and it will no longer be available for damage. And then you just do the same thing. Someone else, or frankly the person who did it before, shoots the artifact, shoots the weapons, gains leeching, then jumps in front of the beam, gains emanating, goes to the correct totem the rest of the team has called out based on the symbol that appears, plants there, and then a weak spot appears. You just keep doing that same thing, and eventually once you destroy enough weak spots on this enemy, then it goes to a full boss DPS phase. But before we talk about that, a word of caution, guys. So you can sometimes accidentally get leeching, and whenever you get leeching, again, that's what triggers the symbol to spawn. So if someone gets leeching and is in the process of turning that into emanating, and then someone else shoots the boss's weapon and gains leeching, a new symbol would appear, and that actually means the old guy with his old symbol and emanating, his callout is defunct. It's not gonna work. If he goes and actually plants on that old callout, that old totem, he is going to die. So whoever the most recent person to gain that leeching buff and cause that symbol to appear and therefore reveal where the correct totem is, that is the only person that can plant there. So everyone else needs to avoid shooting the boss's relic because you don't want to make their callout out of date. So just keep that in mind. But again, once you've done this enough times, you've shadowed the different weak spots, then the boss is going to be available to damage all over. So this is pretty tricky because this boss is still going to be speeding around the map. This time he's going to charge to a certain area and then immediately do that AoE effect. So something like a divinity bubble to put on this guy so you can hit crits much more efficiently. It's way easier to hit a divinity bubble than it is this guy's head, especially when he's moving at 3 million miles an hour. We also did have the tactic of utilizing a banner shield to prevent boss DPS. If you have the thermostatic chest seasonal artifact mod that prevents against solar and arc damage, combine that with a melee resist, that can potentially save your life when he charges at you. And again, hiding behind a banner shield, we were able to do quite a lot of damage just shooting from there, staying in a well. He's eventually going to shatter the well, just put down a new one. And if you're right on top of him again, but if you're with a well with those mods on, you can resist a lot of his damage. And similar to the Caretaker, it is just a massive DPS check. You need extremely high damaging, high burst DPS weapons. So for example, the Izanagi's Burden plus a autoloading rocket, Izzy swapping, that's a tactic some people used. The Reed's Regret, the Threaded Needle, the Sleeper Simulant was fantastic, super high DPS, linear fusions and snipers and so on were fantastic. Again, we used a divinity. Some people used the tractor cannon to put a weaken effect on. High DPS supers like the Mobius Quiver are not a bad idea either. It's just a colossal amount of damage in a short period of time that you need to be able to do here. Because you're actually only going to be able to have 3 chances to do it. If you don't 3-phase the boss, he will enrage and wipe your entire team. But if you are able to do enough damage to this boss, you will eventually get him to a final stand. And what happens here is that you need to finish the last chunk of this boss's health before he wipes your entire team, because during this final stand mechanic, you will start to gain stacks of darkness more and more and more. So again, you have a limited amount of time to just keep doing damage and kill this guy. Now, it should be noted, there's actually a raid mod that you may have gotten from one of the secret chests I pointed out earlier, where, as you can see, it's actually going to increase the amount of damage you do based on the amount of darkness stacks you have. So if you have any of those, it might be a good idea to put those on, because not only will this obviously help for the final stand mechanic, but if you get caught in his beam attacks at any point, you'll gain a few stacks of darkness from that too. And if you're right beside him and you're doing the Titan Banner Shield strat, you're going to gain darkness stacks from that too. So again, it's just another way to squeeze out a little bit more damage. And so guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, again, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RHULK. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.